Hello, guys. Welcome to Workouts for Older Men Live. So glad you are here doing this live on Facebook at Skip LaCour page, on YouTube at Skip LaCour, on Instagram at Skip LaCour, and get this started right here. Started over on TikTok at Skip LaCour. So when you get ready to get your questions answered. So glad you're here this morning. Make sure that you say hello and tell me where you're watching me from. I'm new here over on Instagram. Instagram, do you see me when you're on Facebook when I do this live every morning at this time? Let me know that too. All right, let's get this show started. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Workouts for Older Men Live. I'm Skip LaCour. So glad you're joining me today. When you come on, say hello. Tell me where you're watching me from. Tell me how old you are too. This is Workouts for Older Men. If you're a little bit older, you've got a busy, productive life, you're looking all over the internet for the information, inspiration that's going to be unique to you, right? Are you too old to build muscle? Can you build muscle at your age? What about this body fat that you seem to be putting on, you can't take off? Don't remember it that way when you were younger, that body fat being so challenging to take off. You could eat anything you wanted back then, or that's how you remember it, right? Injuries, shoulder injuries, knee injuries, hip injuries, right? You can't lift the way you used to, or you're never able to lift. You've got injuries that limitations that have nothing to do with what you've done in the gym. Maybe you're new to the gym. A lot of the men who frequent Workouts for Older Men Live, the show that I do every single morning at this time, 4 a.m. Pacific time, 7 a.m. Eastern time. 7 days a week I come to you for the inspiration, the information that you need. Maybe most men have not worked out early in their life. They took care of their family and their business, built some great businesses, have great families, been married for 27, 30 years. That's most of the men who I work with my one-on-one coaching. And maybe they're 50, 55 or so, and now they must take care of their health and fitness. A lot of times sick and tired of the way they look. It's not congruent with who they see themselves are, the successful businessman, the family man. Now it's finally time to do something about that extra 40 pounds or so. Right? Maybe you're in the gym, you go to a commercial gym, you kind of know what you're doing there, but you want to take that to another level. One thing that you probably notice if you've been doing this for 6 months or so, with any type of consistency, just applying yourself like you do with your family and your business, it doesn't take long to look better than 80% of the men our age. It doesn't take very long to look better than 80% of the men. But you've gone this far. You want to take it to an even higher level. All right. How do you get to that top 5% since you've gotten here? I want to help you differentiate all the different strategies. A lot of them are coming from the younger, passionate fitness experts. A lot of men say, what is this? It's just about building muscle and losing body fat. The body's the same no matter what. Well, I guess physically exercise is, but the things we talked about, right? How is this different now with your injuries, your inability to lift weights? How about your schedule, right? You don't have all the time or the brain space that you had when you were younger. Can you do it on 3 days a week? How about full body workouts, right? So those are the things differentiate. When you come on, say hello. Tell me where you're watching me from. Thank you so much for the follows and the likes. Hit that like button if you are on Instagram, if you're on TikTok, if you're on YouTube or Facebook. What I love is when the algorithm sees what we got going on here every morning and They send men who are just like you over here, and it makes us all more efficient with our time because all the questions rapid fire, right? I can spend all this time answering your questions from one to another. The questions you can think of that you know you need answered, or the ones that you didn't quite think of, but someone who is just like you asked those questions, right? So this is time to get those questions answered. A lot of questions about your testosterone levels. Are they dropping? How significantly are they dropping? Can you still build muscle? Is that why you have so much body fat? Because your testosterone levels, right? I like to talk about food. Food is undervalued resource for most men. They know it's important, right? Their eating habits, but when it comes to energy, mood, sleep, right? How you eat consistently. I'm not talking about just losing that body fat or even building that muscle. Food as a performance enhancing drug. Nutrition. Most men, it's the number one challenge for most men, eating right. And we know it, but we don't follow through enough. And it doesn't have to be super complicated, right? It's one of those areas we let ourselves get overwhelmed and we don't pay enough attention to it. All right. So again, thank you so much for the follows over on TikTok. Thank you so much for the likes. Hit that like button. What's my caloric intake? My caloric intake is 2,800 calories right now. Now, let me just talk about that. My caloric intake, you probably want to know what yours should be, right? And so everybody has different conditions. Mine, I'm lean right now. I'm lean enough for how I want to look, right? So after you lose the body fat that you need, especially when you're older, studies have shown that you eat fewer calories, all right? It may really help with longevity, right? So the biggest thing is what you need to do, how many calories you need to eat to lose all that body fat. Most men, not all men, struggle with losing that body fat. And, if you're not eating well at all, that you have no rhyme or reason to what you eat, you're not eating the right foods, you eat too much, you go crazy. That's one thing, right? Most men, they use common sense to eat foods that they believe are healthy. That's maybe not quite as important to losing the body fat than you might think, but you should eat healthy anyway. All right. And they use their instincts for portion control, right? Most men have no idea how many calories they eat, but almost as it's important to be in a calorie deficit, don't eat too much food, but you can't eat too little food. A lot of dedicated men, the ones who are really going for this, they instinctively, from my experience helping out so many men, that what they eat is like 1,200 calories, 1,500 calories. Now, it's not a planned thing. It just seems like the pattern of their instincts take them there. And that's too little food. It will work, no doubt about it. And that's probably the challenge, too, when it does work. And then you hit that plateau. You can't lose that last 10 or 15 pounds. And what you've done is worked up until this point. Then you start wondering, is my testosterone levels? This is my training routine. No, you're probably eating too little food, but you have no idea because you don't track it. What you have done has worked. But you can't eat too little food either. That's eating too little food will help you, will really hurt you when you're trying to lose that stubborn body fat. So you got to know how many calories that you're eating. And then when I say that, I'm not necessarily talking about you got to measure every morsel of food that you eat, and you need to do that for the rest of your life, and that you can never eat tasty food, right? But you got to know the organizing principles. There are certain things that make the diet work. It's really the key to a lot of this, especially for older men. They want to transform their physique. The first thing you think of is that workout routine, right? It's that workout routine. That's not going to transform your body as quickly as you might think. Losing the body fat is going to make the biggest impact on the way you look. All right. All right. All right. A lot of men on here. You guys have any questions today? A lot of men talk about protein consumption and their inability to get enough protein. All right. And, it goes back to what I said, when they think about how many grams, whatever they pick on that. When you eat too little food, all right, and you're trying to get enough protein, right, it will be tough to get enough protein. But let's say if you were to eat, and I think most men, if you're active, most men can eat at least 2,500 calories. But if you're eating 1,200 calories, yeah, it's going to be tough to get it of those 1,200 calories enough protein. Now you got to take the counterintuitive journey, by eating more, right? And then you'll see that it's a lot easier to get that protein. You can even get that all from your food too. All right. So a lot of questions about body fat. Losing body fat is men's number one challenge. No doubt about that. If you are new to this live broadcast, if you're new to watching me on Instagram, right? Now I do this live on Facebook. I know that Facebook and Instagram are connected, right? But have you been able to see my live broadcast? Because I've been doing this every morning at 4 a.m. Pacific time, 7 a.m. Eastern time. Are you alerted on Instagram? So this is one of the first times I'm doing it actually live directly. If you are on Instagram, if you are on TikTok, all of these live broadcasts, you can watch the replay versions over the last couple of months. You can watch the replay versions over on my YouTube channel, and that is at Skip LaCour. All of these are on my YouTube channel. Let's see. Blake, we has a question. Good morning. I weigh 170 pounds. I'm trying to get to 190, 195 healthy. Just can't gain weight. All right. How old are you, Blake? Curious, right? Look, I've been doing. If you're new, let me take a step back. My name is Skip LaCour. I'll be 62 years old here in a couple of days. All right. I've been doing this for 35 years. Pretty much when I hit this, I mean, if you know anything about my journey, man, I was really, really inspired by the personal development world when I was brought to well, thank you, Blake. A personal development world at 21 years old. I was taken to a Zig Ziglar seminar, and that just opened my idea of what I want to do in this world, what impact I want to make. At that time, I was a junior manager at a grocery store, right? And so I created all these big dreams of what I wanted to accomplish, right? So when I found bodybuilding and training at 28 years old, man, I was all in. So it's 28 years of intensity. I quit my full-time job. Actually, Tony Robbins did an infomercial where it told my story about my journey on one of those infomercials. If you remember back in the late 90s and 2000s, that played around the world for 3 years, right? So if you're brand new, you can do a Google search on Skip LaCour. See all my work over the last 35 years. I'm a former 6-time national champion drug-free bodybuilder. And really how that helps you, let's just speed up to the where we are right now. Over the last 8 years, I've just been specializing and talking to night and day, 7 days a week, to older men with busy, productive lives. Not necessarily guys who want to be bodybuilders, not men who are 55 years old who've been training for 35 years or 25 years. Guys have been just getting in it for the last couple of years or less, right? So I've talked to them, knowing them personality, inside the commonalities, the challenges that they face. Hey, thank you for the gift there, Angel. I appreciate that over on TikTok. All right. So last 8 years, so I know the thinking patterns, the challenges of older men who are just like you. So a lot of the questions, believe it or not, I can tell you either have a very young man's perspective, you're being influenced by the 25-year-olds, 30-year-olds who are on the social media, because they do think differently than someone who's 55 years old doing it for 35 years. And again, I call them the younger passionate fitness experts. And I was that. If you see all the information that I pumped out over the years, I came from that point of view too. All right. It wasn't until about 11, 12 years ago, I was at a business meeting and there was a gentleman, dad bod, a little bit older. And he said, "Are you Skip LaCour?" He goes, I used to buy all your VHS tapes and books and on your website and your members only site and things like that back in the day." He goes, "Dude, you were hardcore." And it was really for the first time I said, "Oh, you were getting my information and you were trying to use it," right? I now realize most of the stuff, as in most of the things you get from the younger passion fitness experts, competitive bodybuilders, is not, it's not things that you need. The organizing principle that you need if you're a little bit older, you have a busy, productive life, and you're trying to build muscle and lose body fat. So I can tell a lot of the questions how you're influenced. So let's get back to your question here. And so you're let's see here. Get back to your question. I want to talk about the height, weight, and what you're going for. So you're 170 pounds, Blake, and you're trying to get to 195 healthy. And then the weight thing, 35 years old. Now, I know 35 years old. I remember being 35 years old, and I thought I was, oh man, I had to get it done, make my stake my claim in this world, right? I would consider that relatively young, but what's most important is what you think. All right. Let me just tell you this, that you can't look at this of guess some weight. I want to be 195, right? That means something to you when you look in the mirror, what you imagine what 195 will look like in the mirror. And then you start working towards that goal, right? And he goes, yeah, what's wrong with that? Well, here's the thing, and let's see, you're 170, you said right now, all right? Let me just put this in perspective. That vision that you see in the mirror, you can achieve that 35 years, right? But will it be 195 though? Especially if you talk about, you want that to be lean muscle. See, just how you're setting up that goal could set you up for failure. It's not understanding how this process works. Right? I know what you want to see: rounded shoulders, lean, thin skin, maybe some striations, a little bit of vein showing, chest carved out, flat, stomach, even abs, cuts on your quads, this strip down the side when you turn from the side, separating the quadriceps from the hamstrings, the strip on the side of your calves, right? Calves cut and carved, right? Biceps separated from the triceps, right? Thin forearm skin, some veins, those ridges in the forearms. You want to be lean. That gives this illusion of size, being lean. All right. When you get lean enough, and I don't know how lean you are at 170, you will look like you're 195. All right. But that 25 pounds of muscle, look, let me just put in perspective. I was a 6-time national champion drug-free bodybuilder. By most people's beliefs, you're just some genetic freak. You're not like any of us, right? Or whatever they happen to say. There's no way you can be natural. Nobody's that big, and I mean, all these calculations you'll see on the internet will prove that there's no way you can put as much muscle as I can on my frame. Whatever. Okay. When I won my 6th national champion, I was 5'11", 205 pounds. Very, very lean. And waterless one contest. You can do a Google search on that. But what you need to understand, it was 15 years of training, 15 years, right? Not missing meals, not missing workouts, competing and pushing myself to win championship after championship, writing for the magazines, being, making my living from bodybuilding, having to be that example. Many factors to push me that you don't have. I estimate in those 15 years, I gained 15 pounds of sheer muscle in that time period. Yeah, that's it, 15 pounds. So, you want to gain 25 pounds in what of sheer muscle in what time frame, right? So I don't mean to discourage anybody about what it takes to put on muscle and tell you that it's impossible. But what I'm telling you is that picking a number like 195, that means something in your head, but those numbers, it may not materialize the way you think. And so you'll be doing everything right, building that muscle, but you're not putting on the pounds that you're guessing. You're not at the rate of a 195 that you want at 170. You might be only 175, but it's lean muscle, right? And you think you're doing something wrong. You might, think your testosterone levels, you got to get on TRT or other drugs. Or you see somebody who's they're training consistently, giving you information. Hey, look, man, I've been doing this for 3 years and I only gained 5 pounds of muscle and I'm 175. And then you look at someone too, and then they look, again, that illusion, they look like they're 195 and they may not be. Right? So if you don't know how this works, right, your goals, your progress, you may not have the right perspective. You may be winning the game, but you think you're losing. So let's get to men who are really in my target demographic, about 55 years old. They want to work hard in the gym. They want to build muscle. They want to see whatever they see. All right. A lot of times you just overload that muscle. You're consistent. You back it up with solid nutritional habits. I don't believe if you're gaining size and you know it's fat, that's muscle. Bulking, cutting should not be a thing at all. I don't even think that's a good strategy for younger men. Right? It's certainly not a good strategy for older men. Some long term, I'm going to get bigger. I'm going to gain fat for the next year or so, and then I'm going to slowly cut down. In 2 years from now, the net result is going to be 5 more pounds of muscle. That's a bad strategy. That you're not going to look good in that time. There's a lot better ways to do that. And I don't know if that's going to net out to all that muscle anyway. You're just going to have ill-fitting clothes for 2 years. All right. So it's very important how you set those goals. But it's a great question. And my thing is, you may not be 195, Blake, but you can look 195. It's really important as you set your goals to do this, to understand how it works. Because like I said, you would do everything right. There's nothing wrong with your training routine. You're consistent. You're just concentrating that one set after set to create a workout overload, getting better, progressive overload, right? Resting, recovering, eating in a manner to support muscle growth, and not getting fat along the way, looking good, feeling good. But the numbers aren't even coming close to 195, and you're not doing wrong. You're not genetically defective. It isn't because everybody's using drugs, because you don't understand how this works. So I hope that's helpful. You can always reach out to me, guys. One thing that I do, and is that I make myself available to the most committed men. The most committed men who are just sick and tired. No one ever explained that to them. Right. Again, it's such a basic thing that if you don't understand, it's going to be totally frustrating. Right. That's why I just love the one-on-one coaching where I work with men one-on-one. I've got so many different plans to talk to you in one session, because one session can clear up things, especially when it comes to nutrition or how this all works. Right. Because it's a lot different. I'm scouring in my head right now. If anybody really explained that should be explained like on everybody's website, and it should be explained once a week. All right. Especially if you're new coming in, most men don't know that perspective, how to even set goals, what are realistic, because again, you could be doing everything. It's frustrated as hell, right? Because you don't know how the process works. So if you're sick and tired, all right, I've got a 2-step process, and I do this every single morning. I give men this opportunity. And the great thing about the men who I work with, they don't waste my time. They don't waste their own time. All right. So if you're sick and tired, reach out to me on this number on the screen. And for Instagram, 925-352-4366, 925-352-4366. Got a 2-step process, and I open up in the morning. Usually have a few men who do this, and I contact them throughout the day. So if you're new and you want to absorb more of this information, just know that this will be available to you, and you can do it a week from now, a month from now, whenever it is you're ready. Don't want you to reach out until you're ready, right? To respect both of our time. So the first thing, just say hello. Again, if you're sick and tired, you need some answers, you want some clarity, you like the way I simplify this process, text me at the number, just say hello. Text me a picture. Whatever you feel comfortable with is fine, right? You can have a t-shirt. I can see a lot of things just from the structure of your face. If you have cheekbones, can tell me how lean you are. The ridges, on your forearms, just how you're shaped, right? So you don't have to take your shirt off if you don't feel comfortable with that, all right? Then go to talkwithskip.com, all right? There's a questionnaire. You've got a few questions to answer, right? That's going to get you really clear on what your biggest challenge is and what you've done. So go to Talk with Skip. I need you to fill out that questionnaire, submit that to me. You'll get a copy of that too. So I have a picture. A picture tells me 1,000 words. You take an initiative. All right. You're in my phone. So you get bumped up on the list with all the things that I got going on. And then you filled out that questionnaire. I've got what I need, because the questions are so skilled to break down what it is you need. And so when we get on the phone, I'll reach out to you, text, email, set up some time that works for you and me. And man, I could cut through, slice and dice your biggest challenge, validate what you're doing right. If you need to make adjustments, I'll let you know that. More importantly, give it a time frame. A lot of times you're doing things right, but you just expect it to happen too quickly, or you expect the weight to drop linearly, right? And it doesn't work that way. You just don't know how it works. So again, a lot of the challenge with all this is that you may be doing it right, but your expectations of how quickly it's going to happen, how much weight you're going to gain, how much weight you're going to lose, and in what time frame. Your expectations are off, right? So, and I'll be more than happy to do that. If you're sick and tired and you want to take action, again, 2-step process, text me a picture, whatever you feel comfortable with is fine. And then fill out the questionnaire at talkwithskip.com. Right. So if that's you, I look forward to connecting with you later today. Set up some time. Right. That's something I do every single morning as we go live. So, but good question, Blake, about expectations. I would say out of all the men who I talk to, and I talk to men on a daily basis, and I have for years, not emails, not texts, actually talking to them. Those expectations of how this process works, how their hard work will pay off, and in what time frame, 90% have no clue how it works. They're just working hard, hoping they have the right diet, right strategy, and sometimes they get good results, sometimes they don't, but most don't know what to expect. All right, let me get to some of these questions here. All right. But thank you for the birthday wishes, Blake. I appreciate that. Blake, is that helpful? Let me know that. You may have already done that as I go through all the comments over on TikTok, but let me know. All right, let me know if that's helpful. Let's see here. I'm 41. You recommend a permanent, me on permanent TRT on my age? No, I would not recommend you, just by the fact that you think that age matters to testosterone. You need to learn a lot more about it. You probably need to learn a lot more about training and nutrition. It's not an age thing. I don't. So for my 35 years doing this and my 62 years on the planet, let me tell you about building muscle and lose body fat. It's a never-ending process. All right, you get into this, there's always a higher level. That's a great thing about it. And I'm not talking about you have body dysmorphia, right? It's like a game, it's like a challenge, right? And it's a healthy challenge, right? It's just a game. You could get better, build 1 more ounce of muscle, lose 1 more ounce of body fat, carve this statue, right? And I'm not talking about you got body issues, right? It's just that you do it, you love it, it's part of your life, and you want to take it to higher and higher levels. If you're in the top 50% of men your age, you're competitive. Well, can I get in the top 20%? And if you're in that top 20%, can I get in the top 10%? I don't think there's anything wrong with that, especially the men who I work with who do a lot to balance out their life, right? So knowing that, you make it a little bit easier for yourself by taking TRT for the superficial things like building muscle and losing body fat, right? You're just going to be a little higher on the rung. Okay, so you had trouble building muscle, losing body fat, right? So you want to take some TRT. It's going to put you up here, but you still have all these other rungs to go, right? You may believe if you had X amount more muscle and X amount fewer pounds of body fat that you're going to be happy. Doesn't usually work out that way, right? Sure, you'll be a little bit more sad. It's just going to put you a little bit higher on the rung. So that happiness, that fulfillment that you think you're going to have with TRT, having to build a pound more muscle or a pound less of fat, I don't see that. I don't see that as a benefit. That's the reason going into it, but it doesn't work out that way, right? So, and whether you take TRT or not, you're going to have to learn how to train, and you're going to have to learn how to eat. Right? It's not going to do all the work for you, right? And you're not going to be happy even if it does a lot of the work for you, right? I'm not going to. You, as a responsible adult, should be looking at uh, all the benefits and all the possible risks that you're taking. That's number one. And just to skip ahead, uh, most of the men, when I've talked to them who are on TTA, what they love about it is just the feeling, the sense of control, the aggressiveness that they feel, energy throughout the day to take on the day and take on life's challenges. You know, uh, mental toughness can do that too, right? Mental toughness, working on your life, organizing your strategies, reframing, mental toughness. All right, that can make life a lot easier for you too. So, no doubt that pumping synthetic hormones into your body will help you build muscle, lose body fat, and be more aggressive, and help handle depression, anxiety, mental things that you have. No doubt about it. And at the same time, you can learn to do your best with what you have, which you're going to have to do anyway. Testosterone is just going to push you on a higher level. So, I would, bias. I am not on TRT. Sometimes I think I don't. I haven't really looked into it that much. I absorb a lot of information when a lot of men tell me their experiences, both good and bad. All right, and then who doesn't want to have more energy, aggressiveness to take on the day when you're older? Who doesn't? Right? I can go to a 21-year-old man. I lack energy. I lack drive to take on my job. Right? Everybody's going to do that. Um, I really believe a lot of men are doing themselves a mental disservice by assuming just because they can't build muscle or lose body fat, or they don't have motivation and drive, or they're having challenge on and handling this thing called life, that it's not for the faint of heart, right? It's not built that way for life. And to just assume it's because your testosterone levels, once that gets in your head, right? Some men believe that blindly, that just because they're 41 years old, that their testosterone levels are low. They don't look at their training. They don't look at their eating. They don't look at things like sleep, how they're handling stress, working out consistently, eating consistently. Again, food is for the source of energy. That not being in calorie deficit and losing body fat. They don't look at all those options, right? And then they're just burdened with the disempowering belief it's because their testosterone levels are too low. With so many things that you can do without it, right? Once that gets in your head, man, it's a tough game just to be a couple pounds of muscle ahead or a couple pounds less. And I know that you believe, oh yeah, give me that, right? I mean, you don't know, Skip. You look so great at 62. I've been carrying this extra weight. I can't build muscle. I'll feel like $1 million if I, well, those are some things that you'll have to consider. Just like with everything else, there's pros and cons. But I think that's not the first thing that men should think about at 41 years old. All right, but great question. I get asked that question a lot. All right, and I do know, especially I'm watching social media on TikTok. It seems to be like everybody is just assuming that you got to be on TRT once you're past 35 or something like that. All right, so hopefully that's helpful. All right, give you some perspective. We all need to make our decisions. User 3955, thank you so much for the follow. Thank you so much for the likes over on TikTok. I appreciate it. It attracts more men just like you. So we just rapid fire great questions like that have been asked today. What have we talked about so far? Your expectations, how they are so important as you go on this journey, setting your goal from where you are to the next level. If you don't understand how it works, it's just going to be a frustrating experience. Having the right training routine diet, it's not going to feel like it though. And then we talked about TRT, like we do a lot. Let's see here. Brian, thank you for the follow. Again, thank you for that like. Hit that like button. Attract more men like you. Andy, thank you for the follow on TikTok. Is creatine safe for the kidneys on taking long term? Thank you. All right. So let me just give you my perspective on creatine. All right. And supplements in general. Creatine was put on the market back in 1994. And if there's one supplement that has just been selling, hasn't been taken off the market and reintroduced with a new branding, all right, it's been creatine monohydrate. All right. If you've been around a long time, there have been a lot of supplements that have come and gone that were sold, in the nutrition stores that are no longer there. They've proven to be unsafe. Creatine is not one of them. All right. So there aren't those studies out there, right? You'll hear a lot of things on the internet. You shouldn't take, if it's your kidneys and you hear all of this positive thing, how it's safe, and then you hear a dissenting opinion that it'll blow out your kidneys or whatever it is, you need to make that decision in your life, grown adult. Why should you just take me? You just found me on TikTok or YouTube of something that you're taking so serious like your kidneys, all right? You need to take in that information. Let me tell you something about creatine to help you with your decision. Creatine does not help you build muscle, all right? A lot of misconception what creatine does. It helps volumize the muscles. The muscles are 35% of your body, 70% fluid. It pushes good fluid, into your muscles. So they'll expand and contract, all right? Like a grape when they're full of that fluid. Raisins when you don't, if you eat the way you should, you have carbohydrates, glycogen in the muscles. I mean, you can get them pretty much filled without creatine monohydrate. That weight that you gain from creatine, that's not muscle tissue. It's not fat. And a lot of it's bloated, it's water. It's none of those. All right. It's exactly what I described. It pushes the fluid into the muscle. Now, some guys just like that feeling. It makes them feel pumped up, stronger in the gym mentally. Being an extra 8 or so pounds bigger, even if it isn't muscle, helps them with leverage. They feel stronger in the gym. They feel stronger in the gym. Mentally, they are mentally tougher to lift more weight. So there's a lot of benefits that you get from. Now they go down the line. So you don't have to take creatine to get the benefits of that, right? It's not a magic muscle building drug. So, if you're concerned about your kidneys and you know what creatine really does, then you probably shouldn't take it. That would be a smart decision, right? The risk versus reward, the risk that you see for your kidneys, right? And the reward of just filling the muscles with fluid, extra fluid that could be done with a diet, and enough glycogen in your muscles. Why would you take that risk, right? So I'm just pointing out the benefits, the real benefits versus the exaggerated benefits versus the risk. And maybe that's exaggerated risk, and then you make your decision from there. I hope that's helpful. Blake, thank you for the follow. Let's see here. Blake says, I don't have a time frame. I just want to be healthier and be an example to my kids. Awesome. All right. So again, I don't see what you said as your ignorance, like asking the question about that. That's a great question. And even though you may, if you're newer to this, I mean, I talk to men who've been training for 10 years, older, smart guys, accomplished a lot of things in their life. And they have some of the same challenges framing it, setting up goals and being confused by that. Orlando. Hey, Orlando. Great to have you here again this morning. At 56 years old, I work out 4 times a week. Is this still possible to gain muscle growth? Okay, so when you know about training progressive overload, right? I was talking to, I think I was giving my kids an analogy, right? You can work out, have a great routine, and you're using just say a 15-pound dumbbell for curls, right? Right. That's a great workout, especially at the beginning, right? But you can't do that workout for the next year, and it's a year later, 365 days later, and you're still using the 15-pound dumbbell, which was a great workout. right? You have to do something that you probably hear a lot is progressive overload. Right? You got to challenge yourself. 5 more pounds, 1 more rep. It's a constant game. That's what breaks down the muscle and initiates the muscle building process. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how long you're training. You're going to need that muscle when you're older. Again, I help out older men with busy, productive lives. So when you're 55 years old, right, you may not have the mentality of a 25-year-olds. I want to get big. I want to get huge. If I get huge and ripped, I'll get the girls or whatever you think is going to do for your life. We usually don't think those same things when we're 55, having more experience in life, right? So, it doesn't matter whether you gain 1 ounce of muscle for your efforts over the next month or 1 pound of muscle in the next month, right? It doesn't matter. You got to be understanding weight training, do it consistently. And again, to look 5 pounds bigger, can I gain 5 pounds? Well, just tell me, can I gain 5 pounds of muscle, 10 pounds of muscle in the next month, 6 months? What is it? Really doesn't matter what it is, right? You got to do this anyway, right? And again, the key is that transformation that you're looking for. I can tell you, I deal with men all the time. It's really losing that body fat, you're right? Stripping that body fat. Let's just say, again, I hate using numbers like body fat percentages because everybody has a different idea of what that means. And so if I say, well, you're about 23% body fat, that would be good for an older man. You'd definitely be in the top 20% if you had 23% body fat. It looks good in clothes, way better than most men. But, you're not going to look like ripped and the shoulders separating the boulder shoulders, anything like that at 23% body fat. And so I'll say that to some men, and then they'll go, no, I'm not 23%. I'm like, the doctor said I'm 28%, which it might be. I'll say that to some men, 23, oh, that's high. I'm 17. I'm thinking, there's no way that's 17. But it really doesn't matter what that number is. It's what you look like in the mirror, how happy you are. If you're not happy, then whatever that number really is, you need to get lower. Guys attach themselves to body fat percentages, where it's really what it looks like in the mirror. And all those numbers thrown around, I don't even know how accurate, they are. All right. So it's really like a moot point when you understand how this works. Can you still build muscle? Well, I'll tell you what, you don't lift weights. You don't do it the way I tell you to build muscle. And you're 56 right now. You're going to wish you did when you're 66. It is going to be sliding backwards without a fight. So really, I understand the question, but it's moot. You got to do this anyway. And you're going to see when you're 66, and it's going to happen probably before you know it, turning 66. So whether it's an ounce of muscle or a pound of muscle, whether that's in 3 months or 3 years, you got to get on this fight anyway. And what's going to show off that muscle you think you're earning is getting lean. So that's really how you need to frame this, right? But as far as how much muscle you can build, right? Just like with anything, there's a law of diminishing returns, even when you're doing it right, even when you're doing that progressive overload, even when you're eating in a manner to support your efforts. There's always going to, just like with anything, if I took up golf, right, hopefully I'll just rise real fast, but then it's going to test me. I'm not going to necessarily get those significant gains right away, but that doesn't mean I'm not gaining, right? So if you are 56, Orlando, and you're just getting into this, you got a lot more muscle to build, to look forward to, whatever that number is, than if you were 56 and you've been training for 35 years. Hopefully, when you've been training for 35 years, you understand everything I'm saying, right? So it's usually someone who hasn't been training enough to understand that they got, how this all works. I know, I know the black and white answers. I want to lead with yes, you can. Just like how much, right? It's going to match your expectation, right? The newer you are to this, you've got what I call a virgin body, the more muscle you can expect, or the more of an illusion of muscle. Again, that body fat thing, it's so important in the process. But just assume, yes, you can. It's just how much you can build, right? Don't want to give people false hope. I pride myself in telling you exactly how it is. And what you can expect, right, from your efforts, but at the same time without discouraging you. Right? Hopefully, let me know if that's helpful, Orlando. Let me know if that's helpful. Esther Rodriguez wants to know if I eat pizza. I could eat pizza. I don't eat it that much. Love pizza, right? When you understand eating, how it really works, how to be consistent with it, it's very easy to work pizza, into your diet and still look lean and still be healthy and fit, right? But you got to do a lot of things right and be consistent with it, and then you can work in pizza. I've got a video on my skiplecore.com website. Check out my skiplecore.com website. All right, how to eat tasty foods and still be healthy and fit. Right, check that out. Kind of explains everything you need to do to set up and earn those days that eat that pizza. And it's not just eat sensibly and avoid pizza and junk food for 6 days, and then you can go crazy on the 7th day. It's nothing like that. I mean, actually, you can work in tasty foods every single day if you're willing to do the work and set up the organizing principles and be consistent with them. Just understanding nutrition. But yeah, I eat pizza every once in a while. Not that often, though. Okay, so this is a question, and again, this is differentiating, who I help, the men, their time constraints, what their goals are. It's not like, a bodybuilder, some passion, fitness expert, all going down the rabbit hole, right? So Randall asked, so now I didn't do this, my whole career, right? And I'll tell you a little bit about it. It's separating your cardio sessions 12 hours from your weight training sessions, right? So he talked about reading in my journals for AST Sports Science. So he must have been around because that was over 20 years ago or so, right? So again, there's a lot of strategies from the younger passionate fitness experts. They don't necessarily have to be younger. That may be true. It may be optimal, right? But it's not practical for your life. And in the big picture, it's not that important for the net result of how healthy and fit you are, how much muscle you have, how much body fat you don't have, how good you look. This is definitely one of them. All right. So a younger man they're consumed with building muscle, and they're consumed with saving their muscle. Right. And you can really lock into that passionate category. A lot of it's an illusion. Your body isn't going to just melt away the muscle that you've earned, even with cardio. Right. It would seem like any type of cardio would melt off muscle if you want to think in that extreme. So the thing was is weight train and then come back to the gym, or don't do any cardio for 12 hours. That's not practical. And what most men do is that just gives them an excuse to avoid cardio because they're not going to come back to the gym or have 2 different workout sessions. They're having enough of a challenge, doing one workout session, right? So you just throw out cardio. When we're old, that's a younger man's approach. Just eliminate cardio or make it way, way down on the priority list. When you're old, you need that cardio for heart health, for general health, to help out your blood circulation, help out your oxygen circulation, right? Your heart. As we get older, even if you're healthy and fit, it doesn't work optimally forever. That's what aging is all about. So you're going to have to do some things that a younger man doesn't have to do to help you be healthy and fit. Cardio is one of those things that you're going to need to do when you're older, at least 3 or 4 times a week, at least a half an hour, at least at a moderate pace. And I'm not talking about for fat loss. Cardio doesn't make the impact on fat loss as many men think. It's going to be your diet. Now, again, you should do cardio for health reasons, right? So I don't believe doing your cardio before your weight training session or after your weight training session. Get it all done. in one session, I don't think that's going to melt off all your muscle. All right. So, when I was represented by, a supplement company, they had a whole protocol of training. And it was I wanted to be the best back then as a bodybuilder. So I was, that was my job. That was my whole identity, right? That was the legacy that I was building. So coming back 12 hours separate, if that's going to maximize my muscle mass and I'll be congruent with the product I'm representing, I'm going to do it. No way in hell I'm going to do that now with my schedule, right? And it's not going to make an impact, even if it is optimal. Doing it at the same time, it's not. It doesn't drop from just say it's optimal 10 out of 10 and separate your cardio 12 hours from your weight training sessions. It's not going to drop down any lower than a 9 in the big picture, especially for our goals now that we're a little bit older, have a busy, productive life. We're not doing this for ultimate muscle mass to be some big, huge bodybuilder, right? And preserve every ounce of muscle and do whatever we can to build that 1 ounce. That's a great game. I get it. We're not in that place, right? And if you don't think you have enough muscle and you think it's because of cardio, or you think it's because you did, cardio too close or during your session, that's not it. Look for something else. And for most men, you got too much body fat. They had 23%. It's not going to show what you think you have under there. And you got to get down to 15% if you're willing to do that. And then you'll see how much muscle you have. When it comes to leg training, Randall, same thing. You don't need to worry about that. Everybody wants bigger legs, and it's not a factor. Now whether you can recover and withstand it, depending on what cardio, that's a different thing. If you have more gas in the tank, your muscles are primed to overload your leg training, and the cardio you're doing, you think you're taking away from, that's a different question than if you are going to lose muscle mass because your cardio sessions. Kirk over on YouTube, good morning. Thank you for your counsel and motivating you. It's not over yet. Awesome. It's never over. I talked about, Kurt, if you were here earlier, talking about it, gentlemen, talking about TRT. I was talking about even with TRT, the job of building muscle and losing body fat, learning more about training. It's a all-encompassing game. It's a good game. I'm not talking about body dysmorphia. And, if you were to be blessed with a couple more pounds of muscle and having a couple fewer pounds of body fat, all that does is put you a little higher on the rung, but the game's still going on. Your drive for happiness and fulfillment, I'm not sure if 1 or 2 pounds more muscle with TRT or without it, however you gain it, or a couple fewer pounds because you're able to do it a little easier because of TRT. I don't know if that's going to produce the benefits as you might think. All right. Let's see, some really good questions here. Would you recommend a push-pull legs times Arnold split or just a push-pull leg split? It's your execution of the workout, your understanding of what overload is. I can give anyone any routine, but it's how they apply it, right? Do they understand overload? Are they pushing themselves? Are they the type of person to really go 1 or 2 more reps, or do they settle and just not know it? All right. Do they back it up with good nutrition habits? There's so many things that are any training strategy will work. It's what's most convenient for your lifestyle, right? To think that 1's a 10 and 1 would be a 5, or 1 I used in the perfect execution of a training routine, right? I take 1 versus the other. Again, all conditions being equal, and 1 will have you 5 pounds more muscle at the end of 6 months, or the other one with that same execution, it was the wrong split. You would get nothing, or just 1 pound. That's an illusion. That's not how this works, and that's what causes men to jump from training routine to training routine, and they don't know the organizing principles that will make any weight training strategy work to build muscle. So It's that execution of whatever split you have, your understanding of it, your consistency, and then what you can work in your schedule. Right? That's, I would think, um, Jay Civilian, again, I'm curious. I'm just curious for my research as I target and help older men with busy productive lives. That how old are you? How old are you? I'm just curious. Again, you can tell um, by the questions doing this for so long, uh, how old you are by some of the questions that you ask, who you're influenced by, right? And again, the questions you ask, who you're influenced by, what you're 37. Again, it seems like 35 is you're really not older, so um, the questions change. When you get in your 50s, and most men who I talk to, 30, 37, that's, I hope you feel young. I feel like you have the whole world in front of you. And it's a good thing if you look at your weight training from a younger man without limitations of stress and jobs and time constraints, right? But I hope that answers your question. But I believe one body part once a week, or the push-pull legs. Um, I don't think you should do it twice a week. I think you know what you're doing. You can train each body part once a week for most men. Build that muscle, because that's what this is about, building muscle. You can enjoy the journey and the adventure of training, take it to higher levels in the gym. But as far as what it takes to initiate the muscle building process, and then the rest is done with being lean through your eating habits, um, that's what I would recommend. I also think if you have a physical limitation like joints, whether you did it in the gym or not, um, or you want to preserve that, I really do not believe that just because you're doing something healthy like lifting weights, that you have an unlimited amount of reps and frequency in you. So learn how to do more with less, whether you've been training for 20 years or you've been training for 20 months when you're older. That's important. It's not talked about a lot because, the younger man's approach to this is more is better. And I can always scale back later. Well, I know a lot of men who've been doing push-pull legs, not taking the day off twice a week, a lot of reps, whatever, a lot of sets, a lot of exercises, and can't sleep at night because their shoulder, they got to get that shoulder replacement. You got to think about that. Just because, you're training lighter, just because you're doing something healthy like working out, that you're not going to be doing long-term damage by overuse. And for some reason, I get it. If you've been training for 20 years, your shoulders are just shot, your knees are shot, your hips are shot, and you've dedicated yourself so much to the gym. And, it took a lot to get to the gym. It took a lot to do those 2-hour workouts. It took a lot to go back and do all those exercises, and to realize that maybe that's what's causing you the pain, all that hard work, even doing it right. Nobody wants to hear that. Nothing you can do about it. I totally get that. They don't, that's something that a younger man does not think about. He doesn't even think about ever being 55 years old anyway when he's 25. He'll worry about that later. Well, there's a lot of men at 55 now worrying about that, right? So if you're 55 years old or so and you're new, try to get more done with fewer sets, reps, um, exercises, frequency in the gym, volume work. Try to get more done with less time. Do not buy into, the more is better mentality, right? You don't have an unlimited amount of reps just because working out is supposedly good for you. All right, let's see here. Good morning, Vinny. Great to have you here. MP3, thank you for the follow. Thank you so much for the likes. Thank you so much for the gifts, Angel. Thank you so much. Hit that like screen. All right. I know on TikTok, I should be asking for that more. I know the live creators do that. I do it so that more men get attracted. They get shown this page. And so when they come on live, we have more questions asked. A lot of great questions here today. If you are just joining me, we talked about that expectations of building muscle and losing body fat, how important your expectations that you set, how it sets up your entire journey. All right. How much frustration, confusion, how you just set your expectations. We talked about creatine monohydrate, its safety. We talked about TRT. Do I recommend TRT? Why or why not? You can watch all the entire replays to all of my morning show here, Workouts for Older Men Live, that I do at 4 a.m. Pacific time, 7 a.m. Eastern time. You can see the entire replay over on YouTube at Skip LaCour. All right, let's see here. Let's see what Todd says. I'm 54. Changed diet has gotten significantly stronger and some modest gains in the mirror. Is that okay? I'm not sure. Yeah, that's great. Brett, new job, new schedule, and overall fresh start. Really want to get into health. Just can't start. Yeah, so that's the thing, is that we're older, we want to be fit, we're scouring the internet, social media, and there's a lot of information available, but we all have different starting points. And someone's talking about, is it better to do a push-pull leg or an Arnold, that, right? And one that doesn't know where to start. We could be like the same age at this, here at the same place. Go to skiplacour.com, my website. When you go to, there's a box to check where it says welcome. Right? It's got a green banner, welcome. And I'll line out the key videos to watch in what time frame. Also sign up for my email list, because over the coming weeks, I'll send you emails that will help you watch the right video at the right time. Right? So I don't really know where you are in this process. I'd have to ask you a lot of questions. I don't want to just start walking, start watching your diet, right? That may be not where you are, right? A lot of men are there. So, and again, I'll say this to you. This is for men who in their life, they're aggressive. They know what they want. They'll do whatever it takes to get what they want, right? They're the type of man who does what it takes to get what they want. And that's not everybody, and that's okay. But if it sounds like you and you're sick and tired searching through all this information, you like what you hear on what I do on these lives or what you see on my skiplacour.com website, I give you the opportunity every single morning when I do this, right? You can text me at the number on the screen. Text me there. Take a screenshot of that right now. Text me a picture. Just say hello. Text me a picture. A picture tells me 1,000 words. Whatever it is you feel comfortable with. You don't necessarily have to take off your shirt. And then go to talkwithskip.com. Go to talkwithskip.com. Fill out that questionnaire. Submit that to me. So I'll have your text. I'll have a picture of you. You will have filled out the questionnaire. And then I'll reach out to you. We can just talk. I'm sure I can help you identify what your biggest fitness challenge is. You've sent me a lot of information. I can hear what you're doing, what your plan is, help validate it. For some men, it's just validating what they need to do, maybe making slight adjustments, the way they understand it or the way they execute it, and then giving you a realistic expectation when you can see results. So a lot of men are doing things right. They just expect too much too fast. And I get all that. But, understanding that is going to really, help this entire, process, for you. All right. I can do that in 10 minutes. So if you're the type of man who does what it takes to get what he wants, let's see here. All right. I'll do that opportunity. And usually I have 3 or 4 men every single day who do that when I do these live broadcasts. That's a big reason why I do these every single day. I want to make a real difference. I mean, there's a lot of information. I know hopefully you're getting a lot from all this, but really making an impact on one person at a time is really, what I try to do. So, now isn't the time, and you want to respect my time. I certainly appreciate that. Just remember that. So a week, a month from now, you can reach out to me. But if you're just sick and tired of the confusion, the frustration, and overwhelm, and you want some clarity, reach out to me. Thank you for the share. Let's see here. All right, guys. Juan over on Facebook, Austin, Texas. So glad you're here, sir. All right, guys. Sounds awesome. Thank you so much for the energies. Thank you so much for being here. So what do we talk about here? I'm going to write this down for the recap. We talked about expectations. We talked about creatine. We talked about TRT. We talked about the right body part training split, how to make any of them work. Right? Probably a lot more than that too. Thank you so much for the follow, Warren. Again, if you are watching this on Instagram, if you are watching this on TikTok, you can watch the replay version of today's show and every show over on my YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe when you get there, and that's at Skip LaCour. Reach out to me. One other thing that I do, I have a package, right? If you want this information, go to solutionswithskip.com. Go check that out. Solutionswithskip.com. We got a package, a digital information, workout routine, and total explanation of a workout routine. Total explanation of it. 11 hours of audio, 90-minute video of the biggest fitness challenge that older men face and their solutions. Just an amazing package of information for you. But to what makes this really come alive and the real value is you get a one-on-one coaching session with me. The call is recorded. It's an hour. It's with me. It's not, I don't farm it down to, an assistant who represents what I have to say. Well, you're talking to me. Again, the call is recorded. You can learn from it over and over again. And that's a package for $147. So check that out. Every single day I've got men, taking advantage of that. So it's a great, especially if you're just sick and tired and you're frustrated. I can clear up most of your challenge. It's backed up with all the digital information that you can listen to the recording over and over again after I give you instructions and you're along the process. I mean, it's a great deal. If you know you're just about there, you put in the work, you know you're doing some things right, but you just can't put it all together. Go to Solutions with Skip. Right when you enroll, you'll get immediate access to all the information, and then I'm going to reach out to you. To set up our one-on-one coaching. All right. So that's going to do it for today's Workouts for Older Men Live. Let's take on the day with a sense of urgency. We have to when we're a little bit older. We got more time behind us than we do in front of us. Have a great day.